Hi. So, as of this month, I have my degree, my BA in English Literature, which is tremendously exciting. I feel like a lot of people here on BookTube are also English majors, so I don't know how useful this video is going to be, but I just wanted to do a little compilation. Here are 8 of the authors slash things that were like a key component of the English major experience, TM. So first off, you're going to be reading Virginia Woolf, most likely. I read one of her short stories in my English survey my freshman year. It was A Room of One's Own, if I'm not mistaken. And then if y'all remember, which you might not, I took a whole seminar on her last fall. Her and the Bloomsbury group, which is her literary squad that she was hanging out with. So if you're wanting to play around with some, I feel like she's modernist and not postmodernist. She according to this, was transformed the art of the novel. I don't know if I agree with that. Well, maybe I do. You're gonna either love or hate Virginia. There is no in between. There is no space where you can just be like, you know what, I've read her and I don't have any strong feelings. You're gonna have a strong feeling. Whether that's a positive feeling or a negative feeling is very dependent on who you are as a person, and also where you are in life when you first read her for the first time. I had never read her before that seminar, so I jumped in real hot. So to this day, my feelings are not particularly warm about Virginia, mostly because I just feel like there's a certain level of artistry that some authors have that you just have to respect. And she's 100% one of those authors. She does have this way of writing that does make you think, wow, she's one of the greats. Okay, gotta respect. But at the same time, sometimes my brain cells weren't moving at a fast enough vibration to match her vibration, and in those times I was really just lost. So if I could recommend one Virginia Woolf book, I think it'll probably be Miss Dalloway, just because she feels like an essential, and she's here this review says that it was the first novel to split the atom. So it does really cool stuff with perspective, and mental health, and a multi-set stream of consciousness kind of vibe. So if you're gonna read something by Virginia Woolf, which I do recommend you do just to have the experience, I do recommend Miss Dalloway. Shakespeare, not to be basic, but it's the truth. You're gonna read some Shakespeare. For instance, in my survey for how to analyze English literature, I read Hamlet, and I'd never read it in high school, and reading it in college with the professor that I had was a whole thing that I won't go into. But at least for me, your first time in a classroom, being normally teachers are going to make you read it out loud. If you're in a smaller class, you're going to be playing the roles a little bit, or at least that's what we did. And the first time you do that, it's really cool. I had to mention my girl, Mary. You might read Percy, but honestly, we all know who put the power in that power couple, and it was Mary Shelley. You're likely going to read Frankenstein, just because this is the origination of the sci-fi genre. And also, I just think that there's just so much here, especially after learning about her personal life. I think there's just a lot here about something that I learned after I'd read this for the first time was that she was pregnant at the time of writing this. So that really brings a new perspective, at least for me. It makes me think about what she's saying about parenthood and tabula rasa, which is if you were born good or if you were imprinted upon. And there's just a lot of really interesting stuff there. Dracula, baby! You gotta have a vampire book, and you gotta have an epistolary novel, which is a novel that's written in the form of letters. And for the purpose of this argument, we're gonna ignore the fact that Frankenstein is also an epistolary novel, just because, you know, this is my world and we're just living in it. You know, there's a lot here about, I think I'm starting to realize as I am making this video that a lot of this is based very much on my personal experience. I mean, obviously, but also my concentration. I'm very much a 19th century literature kind of gal. And that's always been my like concentration. So yeah, almost all of these are 19th century pieces. So if you do a different thing, for instance, if you're like a medievalist, that's not really my style. But this list might be handy for you if you're interested in like the basics of 19th century literature, which for me is like where the really fun stuff happens, like where the meat's at of the literary period. So this is not one author, hence the anthology aspect, but you will encounter a Norton at some point, most likely if you're an English major. These are like the bread and butter of the like survey classes that you'll likely have to take, or at least I had to take at my university. And the second section of this particular piece is Chaucer. Now, most likely you're going to have at least some level of like, you're going to interact with like medieval kind of stuff, or I mean, he's not really medieval, but you know what I mean. You're going to have to interact with older stuff, at least at some point. And I interacted with the Canterbury Tales first in my survey class for like British literature pre-1800. And we didn't read a ton of it, but I'm also doing a Chaucer, just like a whole class on Chaucer this semester, which, yes, I don't know why I did that. But you're gonna, once you get into like the groove of Middle English, it's not nearly as bad as you anticipate it's going to be, but it takes a while to get to that point. Certainly there's a learning curve, and I still have to read all of the Middle English out loud just to understand what's really happening. It really is like learning a new language, so, but like in a fun way, I suppose. I don't know. Finally, you know, I had to mention my girl Jane Austen. So I've said this 100,000 times. Jane Austen's my girl. She's my gal. I love her. Love her. I wrote I did an independent study and a fellowship based around Pride and Prejudice this year. She's just my girl. Just my girl. The way that she does the romance novel and a romance narrative, I think, is just so spectacular. It just is handled with such a deft hand, and she's just very funny. She's funny in a way that, you know, I feel like we don't respect a lot, and I know that when I was first reading this when I was younger, it was like a lot of her humor went over my head, but she's funny. So I don't know which of her she's got like 5 main novels that you might read, of which I have not read all of them. I need to read, I just finished Mansfield Park this month, and I need to read Lady Susan, and I need to reread Sense and Sensibility. It's been a minute for me. But I'm a Jane Austen stan first and a human second. And I think I said finally previously, but that was incorrect, because you will read one of the Bronte sisters. It's just inevitable. Whether it's Charlotte or it's Emily, you're gonna hear something about these gals. So I read Wuthering Heights in my 19th century British novel class, and this year I also read Jane Eyre, which is by Charlotte Bronte. These gals got a lot of depth. They are just so weird. Like, if you get the chance to read Wuthering Heights, read it and think about how just fundamentally strange and compelling the interaction is between these characters, because she's really got the whole goth vibe going for her. They're both just absolute like weirdos, and the way their brains worked were just fascinating to me. This is my first time filming like with my new roommate in like the house, and I always forget it takes a little bit for me to like adjust and like get in the rhythm. For those of you who also make videos, it's just very uncomfy sometimes. Just a profound amount of self-consciousness is what I would say. So yeah, this video might have a lot of weird cuts and stuff, but I hope it's been helpful for you. Getting my degree in English has been the best decision I've ever made, and I just know that if I was to start college again and I could have any major to choose, I would still choose English, just because, you know, not to get like sappy, but everyone thinks that their major and their like focus is the most important one. Like your math majors, your science majors, your history majors, they're all going to say that their subject is the most important. So of course I'm going to tell you that English is the most important. But I really do believe that narrative is not only just stories, but it is like the history of the human heart and the human experience and feeling, and I just am so lucky to have gotten the chance to experience that in such a full way in the last 2.5 years. So yeah, is this me telling you to be an English major? 100%. But also, you don't have to be an English major to enjoy these authors. So don't invest in a Norton anthology unless you absolutely have to, because those suckers, not cheap, they're really big and they're dry. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it's helpful for you. Sorry I'm so awkward. Still working out the kinks, but I hope you guys are doing real well. This is a Vidmas video, so I don't know when it's going up, but I hope that you're having a good week. Like, comment, subscribe. See you very soon. Bye.